but in my work I tend to vacillate back and forth between either straightforward sort of pictorial reality like Mutter and Tochter to work like this, which is much more dense, densely layered with symbols and different processes, painting and drawing and printmaking and sculpting and found objects. I like this kind of work because it does create this more complex narrative, and it allows people the freedom to kind of work through the piece and discover different elements that sort of carry the narrative, whether it's a painting about female sexuality, male sexuality, or a conversation I might have with another man. I always think of these paintings as conversations, in that all kinds of points are being made, and some of the points might even be contradictory to previous sentences, but ultimately a narrative is sort of fashioned out of that. So I just find that when I incorporate different processes with the painting, that it makes the visual experience that much more satisfying and that much more complex. I always like to think of my work as attempting to get at some kind of truth. And when I employ different processes, it's like coming at that truth from as many different angles as possible. This actually spins out of a work that I did in the 90s that I called the Anatomy of Reality series, which is where I was montaging all these elements and trying to address my subject matter from as many different vantage points. And now that has evolved to include three-dimensional objects, such as the sledgehammer, which I hand-carved, or the little toy trucks that I'd simply purchased at a toy store. There are little canvases that are inserted into the wood panel. I built a little glass box to hold the trucks. That's actually a real fire alarm that I mounted to the painting. And then there are painted elements such as the diving mask and the three little canvases I pointed out. As I said, these are really sort of conversations and not making a specific point, but just sort of an ongoing narrative. So like Mutter and Tochter, I really like that kind of scale. I generally like larger work because it sort of fills your entire picture plane, and it's easier, I think, for the viewer to enter the piece than, say, a small little painting that really focuses on the painting as an object. So the large work sometimes is hard to place, but I also find that for me it's more gratifying. I'm really happy to say that the Huntsville Museum of Art just purchased one of the pieces out of these 5. So I'm really happy about that. It was actually the first of the series, and it's called, I need to think about it, Life During Wartime, and it's a conversation I'm having with my daughter about responsibility and accountability and how to react to negative things that are often inflicted upon us. Yeah.